This looks like a long one, and I'm going cold. So, abstinence, experience, strength, and hope from members of OA. It's all in the steps. Let's see if we can get this semi figured out there. I learned the importance of working the 12 suggested steps of recovery the hard way. When my first sponsor in Alcoholics Anonymous proposed that I use the fourth and fifth steps to clean house, I refused. I'm a Jesuit priest, I told him. All I have ever done since I began studying for the priesthood is go to confession. How wrong I was. How did I not want to admit that my physical addiction was only a symptom of an underlying mental and spiritual illness? For 5 years, I was a dry drunk with a two-step program. 1, I stopped drinking, and 2, I bragged about it. Failure to confront the exact nature of my wrongs kept me trapped in my character defects, and I simply switched from one active alcoholism to compulsive overeating. I reached the point of wanting to die. Suicide was not an option because I didn't think it would look good on my resume. Another Jesuit, a recovering alcoholic, finally sold me on the fourth and fifth steps as the key to acquiring the restoration to sanity that the second step promises. I worked those 2 steps with him and was granted a marvelous sense of belonging to the fellowship of those who are in recovery. Working the fourth and fifth steps helped me to recognize that I was an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. In other 12-step programs, I dealt with the origins of my depression and low self-esteem by sharing experience, strength, and hope with other adult children of alcoholics. On my first program anniversary, I told a friend how grateful I was that my feelings of uselessness and self-pity were beginning to disappear, even though I was still carrying around an extra 44 pounds I had gained while I was depressed. I think I expected my friend to pat me on the back, tell me I didn't look so bad, and give me the latest and greatest diet she had found. Instead, she said, "Go to Overeaters Anonymous. They know about compulsive overeating." I resisted for a few weeks, but a Labor Day binge proved to me once again that it was insane for me to think that I could cure myself. 2 days later, I went to my first OA meeting and began working the steps all over again with a new group of fellow sufferers. After 2 years, I have shared a fifth step twice and am planning on doing so again. I have lost 42 pounds and have taken 8 inches off my waist. More importantly, I have gained some wisdom and serenity that help me to live life on life's terms. One of my chief convictions about the steps is that there are many different ways to work them. After all, if we can each have a God according to our own understanding, may we not also work the steps accordingly? Some people like to view the steps on a medical model. The first 3 are intensive care, steps 4 to 9 are inpatient treatment, and then we are healthy enough to work the last 3 steps on our own. Others emphasize working the steps in order. I once heard someone say that working the first step is being in first grade, which would make those working the 12 steps seniors in the school of recovery. To this way of thinking, the first step is something that we get farther and farther away from the more we journey in recovery. My own imperfect experience in recovery suggests that it is best for me to see how all 12 steps continue to work together to keep me on the path toward health and happiness. In the other models, going back to the first step might feel like failure. We are liable to feel we have flunked out of the higher grades and have been sent back to learn a lesson that we should not have forgotten, or that we are going backwards to square one, losing all the forward progress we thought we had made. For me, it works best to think of each step as support for all the others so that I am not ashamed or dismayed when I find that I need more of the wisdom available in the first step in order to carry on with the ninth. The first step serves me as gasoline does an automobile. I draw regularly on the reservoir of acceptance and my powerlessness, but have to stop from time to time to fill up again on the insight that I will never save myself from the bondage of self. The first step is the foundation of all the other steps, even when I'm not conscious of the support it offers me. Steps 2 to 9 seem to me to work in pairs. For example, belief in a benevolent higher power, step 2, enables me to turn myself over to the care of that power, step 3. A moral inventory, step 4, excuse me. A moral inventory, step 4, enables me to admit the nature of my wrongs, step 5. Readiness to change, step 6, makes it possible for me to let go of my shortcomings, step 7. The list of those I have harmed, step 8, guides me in deciding how to make amends, step 9. As I work the initial step in each of these pairs, I do so knowing there is a follow-through in the next step. The last 3 steps are very special to me. Although I believe that it's best to work all the steps in order, I do not see how I could have postponed working these last 3 steps until I had finished making amends. The 10th step is something I did daily from day one, like myself. It encouraged me to keep my current affairs clean while I labored to clear away the wreckage of my past. Similarly, I couldn't work any of the steps in a healthy fashion without conscious contact with my higher power. I use each of the steps as a topic for prayer and meditation. I know that this is a spiritual program, and every step is spiritual if I allow the light of the 11th step to fill all of the rest. The first part of the 12th step seems to confirm this view for me. Each step contributes to my spiritual awakening. I didn't wait until I had finished working all the steps before sharing my joy of recovery with others, nor do I want others to wait. As Bill W. discovered by helping Dr. Bob, carrying the message is essential to recovery. To me, everyone who shares at a meeting is working the second part of the 12th step. Even if all one can say is, I need help, or food has beaten me again. Understanding how the steps work together in my recovery doesn't mean that I pick and choose among them, substituting one I like for another that I don't like. Recognizing how they all work together helps me do what I need most in my recovery and for my recovery. These thoughts come from a member in Syracuse, New York. That's the longest reading so far, so I shan't say anything afterwards other than, working all the steps. And, the only wrong way of doing it is by ourselves, trying to work these steps on our own with our own thinking. The real way of doing it is getting the help from someone else who's doing it with someone else. So get a sponsor who has a sponsor and who has a sponsor. And all of these people are in the process of working the steps for themselves so that they can share their experience, strength, and hope with you. That's it. Just do it for today. If you don't have a sponsor, get a sponsor today. Thanks. Bye.